Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show. I'm Deborah Prinzing, and I'm so thrilled today to welcome my guest, Rebekah Mindel of Meadow Wilds. Hi, Rebekah.
Hi, Deborah.
Thanks for joining me virtually. I wish we were together.
You.
We're on the opposite sides of the country. Why don't you tell everyone where you're located, and that'll kind of put you on the map.
I'm in High Falls, New York, in the Hudson Valley, like upstate New York from the city.
Okay. We love it there. And just to put you into the why now category, I want everyone to know we just published Slow Flowers Journal Spring Edition, and it's our weddings issue. And the impetus really for this issue was a conversation Rebekah and I had, I don't know, 10 months ago or so when she told me about this fantastic photo shoot she was involved in, a wedding styled shoot. But very editorial. And I said, "Oh, I want it for Slow Flowers Journal." So I think we should dive right in and have you first introduce Meadow Wilds, and then we'll pop up the story on the screen so people can see it. And you really need to read it. So you need to come to slowflowerspodcast.com or slowflowersjournal.com and see the story and read more about Rebekah's approach to this, big challenge actually. So tell us a little bit first about your wedding business, Rebekah. What's the scope of it? It's massive.
You. Well, we've been, this is, I guess, 12 years. We've been doing this since 2014. And we started more with the farm and then went into design. Um, and yeah, we are, I don't think we're huge, but we spend a lot of time with our clients. So it feels like a long process, typically anywhere from a year. We're working with couples, yeah, closer to the wedding, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you're really customized. I would almost say bespoke or couture the way that you approach these often destination wedding couples, right?
Yeah, they're coming from the city, they're coming from California, they're coming from wherever. A lot of people really like to get married up here. I think they find that it's sometimes more essential for all the parties involved just to come here, break from the city. And this is a beautiful place, right? And yeah, we love all the nature that's here, and it really helps us do our job.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you started with the farm. So when you and I first met, you were doing more farming, and then you've kind of evolved into being a farmer florist. And now I would say you're a designer farmer. I mean, you've had this evolution that design is more of your emphasis than farming now, right?
Yeah, farming is still a part of it, but it's not our production zone, our farm. No, it's more supplemental.
Well, good. I want to put the wedding up.
Oh,
This gorgeous wedding on the cover of Slow Flowers Journal is the Rebekah Mindel Meadow Wilds wedding. You can see how I like to say I call these flower forward weddings. I mean, this was all about the flowers in this particular photo, right?
absolutely. And it's actually almost a year to date. It was May 21 that we had this.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Tell us about the location and what was your what part of the wedding photo shoot were your responsibilities?
So this took place in Hillsdale, New York, which was in the Berkshires, sort of in between Hudson Valley, Berkshires. I don't know where the Catskills is, but somewhere by. Um, so there was so much flowering that needed to happen here. There was basically the ceremony was basically the biggest challenge, like you mentioned. It was up on a mountain, and getting up there was super bumpy, really treacherous. We like had to hold the arrangements really quick. We had to do it super fast, and there was a stylist and a photographer, and there was a drone, and it was kind of cold. So this was very, very quick. And we just kind of got it.
So, Rebecca, you did not design on site. You did most of the design in your studio before you transported everything.
Yes.
Would you have done that if it was, a regular client too? Is that sort of just depends on the site?
Yeah, yeah. Typically, we do a lot of designing in our studio, and then once we get it on site, we're designing for the place, for the position. We might adding branches, seeing if there's any holes. Transport is a big thing. That it's no small feat to get your things from your studio packed, and for all the travel that you go, everything needs to So that's a small miracle just along the way, getting everything, especially up to the top of the mountain. So we're like zhuzhing and checking, but most of all the design, unless it's an install like a huppah or an arch, or
Sure. I feel like this was so exposed. You people can see in the backdrop that there's this mountain range and it looks a little cloudy. I mean, the couple look completely relaxed. They must have been freezing, but the you were dealing with, heavy you wanted to make these urns heavy so they didn't blow over. I mean, there's so much logistics involved.
because yeah, we had some rock going on, holding things from behind, and oh yes, all kinds of things, and
Mm.
track it on and off. And so yeah, I was lucky that we didn't have enough time to do a bunch of zhuzhing. So I think when we got to the venue, we checked everything before we loaded up. So
What I love the most about when I got to interview you about this, Rebecca, and maybe you can kind of elaborate on it, is that you're so focused on place and seasons in your designs. And it was early spring, so there were lots of flowering branches that kind of gave you that structure that you needed and the scale as well. So, would you have called that foraging, or did you cut from your own property, or did you source from other farms?
combination, we are basically always doing a combination of multiple things. We're never doing one thing, and I think that combination gives us something that is kind of unique. So we're sourcing from our farm, we're foraging. Like those lupines are from the farm. There was nine bark that was beautiful from the farm. So, and then there was foraging from trees, and then other local farmers around me. There's these amazing growers who really put tulips, and like I can just rely on them every year for like I don't know if there's tulips in here, but I think there's black hero tulips. Um, you
Oh,
know,
for sure. Yeah, and there were
and
some allium and some
of
aramiras.
yes. Oh, yes. And then wholesalers too, like Aramaris that came from Cedar Farm Wholesale, the tulips from Sea Change, and oh, see, and the wholesalers. I mean, they help so much. When they know your palette and your vision, they're really showing you what they have.
Like,
And
I'm gonna hop to the opening pages of the
yeah,
chapter just so people can see the story. It's called Natural High. This obviously there's no flowers in this, but it just shows such a beautiful photo of the couple. And then this is a broader image that shows how many arrangements that you did those urns, and then kind of at every level there were flowers, creating the ceremony site more or less, right?
and actually, there's some beautiful. Actually, behind me, we have like Dame's rocket. This is same thing. We're actually same time of year we could harvest the Dame's rocket, which I love.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. Um, and then there's some detail shots, and I wanna just say that you worked with Lisa.
Elegante events. Lisa Jaroscak Chin. She's an amazing wedding planner and such a collaborative partner. That was, yeah, basically. Do you want to hear a little bit about how we work together?
Yes, I'd love to, and, I love this spread here because people can really see the bouquet and then one of the urn designs just to get a little bit more detail of the flowers that you used. But yeah, you and Lisa collaborated on this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. So sh this was actually her idea to do this shoot, and she gathered a beautiful team, a photographer and me, and rental company stylists, models, and we just went to town. And oh, it was so fun picking out the decor elements together, working on the linens, kind of going with the floral palette, and just in every aspect. It was so enjoyable to work together. And she really also just bent over backwards, pulling miracles, getting dresses, and just really going, not knocking it out of the park. So that was
Yeah.
for us. And one other thing is that silk ribbon from Silk and Willow was really fun. I had like 1 second to tie it, and the wind was blowing.
Oh, I love it. Well, the other thing that really struck me is that clematis in the bouquet. Like, you worked with the photographer to really shape and frame the images that you wanted, that you will now have representing Meadow Wilds, which a lot of people don't realize how valuable that is on a styled shoot. That the day of wedding frenzy doesn't always allow it for a real wedding to get those images, right?
Exactly. So this was a real treat, and I'm very, very grateful.
Okay, I think there's one more page I wanna just highlight on this, in the tabletop. I really love the way you designed this tabletop, Rebecca. It's so personalized, like, every place setting has a different cool thing to look at, if you were imagining the guests here, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was Lisa's attention to detail, and Hudson Valley Letterpress was another partner, and there was a lot of creatives she put together. So Hudson Valley Letterpress did a beautiful job, and yeah, you know, and then Floral Society, we used a lot of their vessels and candles, and it just, like the Belle Epoque tulips and the candles and the whole thing.
Mm, yeah. And I just want to point out for people who are looking at this particular final spread with the tabletop, there's a sidebar called editorial style shoot tips. And it's really helpful because both Rebecca and Lisa gave me some insider tips on what they recommend for a successful styled shoot. And I think anyone who takes the time to read it will get some fun advice to take to their own project. Some of them were surprising. I mean, the fact that Lisa likes to use models instead of real couples is seems like an additional expense and hassle, but you obviously got
Yeah,
these pros who made it look so real and warm, and they're very comfortable in posing for the camera, which some people aren't, and so it just turned out beautifully.
thank you so much.
Mm. Congratulations.
Thank the chartreuse nine bark. That's what that
Oh,
was.
chartreuse 9 bark. So you had the regular 9 bark, and then you had the kind of chartreuse 9 bark. Actually, there
From the wholesaler. That wasn't in the plan, but I knew I needed chartreuse. I got to the wholesaler, Cedar Farm. I was looking around, and then all of a sudden it was like, need that, need that. It was only like two bunches, but it worked.
but that's how you work, Rebecca, I'm sure. Like, you're never done until you're done. Like, they're constantly looking for that one little bit that you
Yeah, and than that, Angela, who works with me, she's like my lead designer. We're always scanning the trees. Have you seen that? Like last week we had a wedding. We were looking for a light all week, and then now we're like seeing it everywhere. We're like, have you been seeing it? You're always tracking what we're seeing. Um,
so it's, like, now on your radar.
yeah.
Well, I I just wanna kinda pivot a little bit to talk about your path to flowers. I We met so long ago, and I think we must have met maybe virtually and then at a conference, I can't remember, but you had, connected the dots for how, your influences, in the floral industry and my path in the floral industry through Slow Flowers, we kinda connected, through a mutual friend, and I'd just love to have you share that story of just the last, I don't know, decade and a half of your career and what brought you to where you are today?
Wow. Okay. Well, I started at Stone Barns, basically Center for Food and Agriculture, learning farming for production. And after that apprenticeship, and I interned and volunteered before that. So I was sort of at Stone Barns for a couple, 2 to 3 years. And then after that, when I finished the apprenticeship, I was ready for my first job. And I had to decide, like, do I want to do flowers or herbs? Because I learned a lot about herb production. And I'm doing flowers. That's what I'm doing. And my other person did herbs. So I applied for a job to be a farm manager in Essex, Massachusetts at Astor B Flowers, founded by Melissa Glorio, one of my dear, dear friends. And yeah, so I took the job and moved to Massachusetts. I love Massachusetts, and I know you used to live out there.
my first job when I was like in junior high, I worked at a seafood restaurant in Essex, Massachusetts called Skipper's Galley, and that was probably I got a worker's permit at 15, so it was
Good for you.
very early in I rode my bike there. So I love the vibe of Essex. It's just I don't know if there's agriculture there now, but at the time there was basically fishing and agriculture.
Amazing soil, amazing that marshland. There's something nothing like. Well, I grew up going to the Cape Cod where my grandmother lived, and Essex reminded me of Cape Cod in so many ways with the cedar trees and the gentle land and the ocean. It's just the best, one of the best places in the world. So I can't believe I ever left. But
And how did you find Astor B? Did Melissa just post the opening?
no, I'll tell you how we met. I was at a conference, an ASCFG conference with Shannon Algier, one of my first mentors from Stone Barns. We went together. It was a flower growing conference. I think it was in Rhode Island with those poly with the big growers out.
Polly Hutchison.
Melissa was at that conference, and I remember she actually came up to me and she just introduced herself to me, and she told me later that she just looked around the room and she said to herself, who would I want to be friends with? And she looked at me and she said that girl, I would love to be friends with her. So that's sort of something about Mel that I love, is that she would say that she wanted to do this really creative business because she knew that it would attract like the like-minded people and bring those people to her. And I have found that that is true for me as well. Like all of my best friends I get to work with.
Rebecca, I remember that about when I met Melissa and interviewed her for the podcast. We just looked it up that she was on the Slow Flowers podcast 10 years ago in June. So, like, exactly 10 years ago. But I did take away that community mindedness because her generosity with sharing her farm acreage to incubate other young growers was really not being done at the time, and that impression stayed with me. I don't know if it was happened when you were there or if it was after that.
Yeah, I would say one of my things I remember most about Melissa is how generous she was. And so she passed away. So I
Very
just,
recently, you said.
yeah, yeah, in February this year.
I'm so sorry.
You.
But people listening to this who were involved in ASCFG when Melissa was may have remembered meeting her at one of those conferences. And I'm thinking now, Polly Hutchison's farm was Robin Hollow Farm in Rhode
Yes.
Island. Yes, I knew it would come to me. Um, so, so tell us about how she was as a mentor and how that's influencing your work today.
Well, I'll just say this candidly, is that at the time, I didn't think of her as a mentor. I thought that I was going to her knowing everything, so I learned everything from Barnes.
We don't know what we don't know, right?
I thought I knew everything, and I thought I had to teach her, and she was teaching me so much. She's such a mentor, and very selfless. And she taught me so many things that are hard to. Some things are hard to talk about, but
Yeah. How would like you probably see glimpses of things in your business today that came from that experience.
yes, yeah. So basically, it was so perfect and beautiful, and well, nothing's perfect, but there was so much amazing, her beautiful barn and her resources and the property and all these peonies. And there was a part of me that was like this entrepreneurial, I think it's kind of like this part of me that, maybe sometimes is not the greatest part of me, of like, I want to do it by myself. Like, I want to do this too. Um, which I sometimes wish I didn't have that, but that sort of this was coming behind me for creating Meadow Wilds, because I did 1 year there, and then Meadow Wilds was born November 2014, and I started there, the spring. So, but I think she just was so smart and thoughtful and hardworking, and it just I can't even talk. My words are not coming to me. But
Well, it's so recent. I do think that, that comment that I made about her innovation, she was sort of ahead of her time in some of the ways she looked at new models of being a flower farmer, which was, 10 years ago, no, there were fewer people doing this.
so she used to say, um, like she used to say no a lot to opportunities, or like if there were clients or weddings, she was really good at saying no. Tell me, say no, because think about that client is going to take up brain space in your creative zone. She was very good at trying to protect her own vibe, and also balance her
Mhm,
and her whole life. So she was really good at knowing what she needed, what was too much, and redefining. So there was that season in 2016 where that was she was making a little incubator, and she wanted other people to have the opportunity to grow and use the land. And that also just speaks so much to her generosity. She
mhm,
never needed to take it for herself. She
mhm.
could give everything away. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I take
Yeah.
from her.
I would say also observing, and not that you and I are close, but we always touch base once a year. And, I felt like when Melissa was involved with Slow Flowers, before she'd stopped farming, we'd have the same kind of short, quick interactions. At the time you were there for that year, you were still single and didn't have children. But she had children and was married. And I'm wondering if like she gave you any insights on like work life balance and all of the stuff that maybe is helping you now being a mom and having a family and a business, because it's a grind.
Yeah, she would talk about how hard it was for her business, because she started sort of, and she'll in the article that in the podcast where you interviewed, she talks about this, is she was early on starting her flower farm. Nobody was doing it really out there.
In Massachusetts,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she had two really young children, and so she told me that that was something that would choke her up, is like, I'm giving so much, I'm starting lifeblood to my business while I have these really young children. And that, she really made it a point to prioritize always spending time with them. And that's why I think she wanted to have the best for her farm. She hired me and her brother, and we were farming up there till 9:30 at night, just having the best time. So
How do you do it now? I mean, how old is your son?
5.5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, like I was farming till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, up until my son was born. And then you just can't do that anymore.
Right.
Those plants were my babies. Every single plant I would touch and take care of, and deadhead and stake, and all the care that they need was given to every single plant. And it just, once the baby was born, COVID 2020, their farm actually sat for a year. I've never done that. I don't know if the word is to sit fallow, or like there's a Jewish farming term. I don't remember what not gleaning, but there's like just like letting the land rest
Yeah, yeah.
or something. So I
You
just
felt like you did it with your life.
stopped. And then, I've taken it back. But there was what you have a baby, you have to tend to the baby.
Absolutely. Well, when you started Meadow Wilds, is that when you were you already familiar with the Hudson Valley? Had you lived there prior because of the Stone Barns connection, or did you establish a whole new locale for your business?
Whole new level. And it was kind of a crazy, risky move. It was all vision. I had this crazy vision, and like not crazy, but very like a strong vision come through for what I wanted to create. And I was so influenced and inspired by Melissa and what we had there, that I sort of wanted to create it here. But I didn't have any resources. So people gave me seeds, and I actually ended up being on 4 different pieces of land. So like I want to show you pictures of my farm, but I've had my farm over so many different iterations, so many different lands. And I've been in my same piece of land for 8 years in High Falls. But before that, it took I would switch lands every year, actually, for 4 years in a row.
Well, especially in that region, land is very expensive, and I'm sure agriculture in general is kind of threatened by people wanting to, you know, buy up the land and develop it, or it's just unaffordable. What's your current situation?
Well, my current situation is I lease land. I have an amazing opportunity, and it's just a lot of generous people and a lot of community around me. And I would say in the Hudson Valley, my entire time, I have been very lucky, but also been so many people, farmers have been very kind to me and and in so many, so many, so many people I could thank.
That's wonderful. But I also sense that maybe at that time, maybe becoming a mom, maybe your business evolved, your shift, we alluded to this earlier, it's more about design currently, even though you're using a lot of the product that you grow, but it's not your primary solo source of floral ingredients for your designs.
One of the things that I remember when I started and wanted to grow flowers was I had this idea I needed to grow color, all the colors that I wanted to use in my design. So it's like I took the long way to get to design. Like I wanted, there were years where I'd be like, you know what? I'm not planting orange. Or I'm not planting the colors I don't want. I'm just making like almost like a whole palette around me to be washed in colors. It was just like, it's like a thing. So sometimes I just wanted to bring those colors around me, honestly.
I love that.
And I think I always knew I wanted to be a designer because when I worked with Mel, I have another story about Mel. Um, we did 30 plus weddings that year, actually, big and small.
You dove right into design and being a farmer florist because of what she has. Um, she'd booked all those weddings before you started there that year, right?
Yes, yes, she did. And I was like, what? And we did farmers markets and we did wholesale, did bouquets to the shops. It was everything all at once, which was amazing and hard. But I guess growing all those flowers, I knew I wanted to design, and I felt like that was what I needed to do to like get to know the plants, get to know the flowers, and also to have a reliable, good product. Like I used to sell my flowers at a local farm CSA that was so popular and had raw milk, raw dairy, and everybody like 175 a lot of members, and I would be out there selling my bouquets for 5 years, and we were having the best product. Like my bouquets we would be like, did they last 7 days? How did they do? Like people could trust that the flowers were good and they would last. And I think that's when eventually I would get referrals. Like eventually it came through the farm. My child was getting married with flowers. I'm like, finally, someone asked me to do their wedding flowers.
But it's funny that you kind of farmed with a designer mindset. When you're talking about the palette, that's what I'm picking up on. Like, um, as you chose what to farm, in a way, in your mind's eye, you were designing
Oh yeah.
a bouquet or a centerpiece or something, right?
I mean, literally for years we sold to this really wonderful sunflower grocery store in Woodstock and Rhinebeck. For 5 years. We sold to them bouquets, which is what Melissa also did. She sold all the gourmet shops, and all these bouquets had over 32 varieties in the bouquets. They were like not. They never 2 minute bouquet, like 1 minute bouquet. Like, let's go, girl. Why are you not so fast, efficient? And I'm like, these are not a 1 minute bouquet. That's not what I'm doing. So eventually it was like, okay, we're gonna pivot to create this kind of work for people who actually can pay for it.
Right,
And
right. But in a way, those 30 variety market bouquets became an amazing calling card for you because it showed people the possibility of what local flowers could be. And yeah, they were getting their money's worth, Rebecca.
sure.
Well, so you had this model of, how to operate a multifaceted specialty cut flower farm from your time with Astor B. Um, and I sort of feel like you've done it all, and now you're in a place where you have the reputation and the client base where you can be a little bit more discerning. So tell me what you've let go of and maybe what you've added to kind of the point where you are today.
Yeah, so we've let go of any sale, any direct sales from the farm. There's no grocery, there's no CSA, um, which, we miss that connection to our community for sure. Um, but I try to still, sometimes people want flowers. It's more like the flower. Okay, sorry, like eight thoughts in one. The flowers from the farm, like we get to serve the community when it needs us. We get to give, which is really nice.
So relationships, people will come contact you and say, "I need flowers for my daughter's recital," and if you have the time and the availability, that's something you choose to do.
Yeah, or my son's school and it's May Day, and here we go. I got everything for you. Well, I had a canceled order, so like, or sometimes there's just certain people in my life who I know that they love dark purples and plums, and whenever I can, I want to give them that because they love that.
Yeah,
So yeah, so or the teachers or the piano teacher, all the things. Um, but so basically, we've taken out all direct sales, and mostly we are doing weddings and events, bar mitzvahs. We've done a little corporate. We definitely want to try more different things. Like I don't only want to do weddings, but we
sure.
sort of we enjoy weddings. And
But you're in a region, in Hudson Valley. I don't know what your zone is. Is it like 6B or 7? Is it? Um, your season is what? April through October? Or, I mean, what do you do year?
it is May 15th, but we always go by May 1. But, yeah, we can start seeding in the greenhouse in March. And then we'll get one year we got the frost September 23rd. We might get it mid October. We never really get it November 1, maybe. So it's always somewhere in there.
There's always that shoulder season if you have a super early wedding or an October wedding where you're probably holding your breath. But
Yes.
because you're not having to guarantee a wedding palette just from your farm, it's not a big deal probably.
It's not. I mean, we had a wedding last year, that November 6th, which was pretty late. And this year we have a couple weddings in November, even November 21, a lot later. And I'm kind of excited for November weddings, actually, because why not? It's still kind of warm, or can be. Um, but we just don't promise a variety. Like, that's just not what we do. We never promise a variety, but color, shape, tone, and texture. So, like, our November bride, she wants that cosmos, that white fluffy vibe, and I'm like, well, we're gonna do butterfly ranunculus white, like round, it's disc. We can do what we can do.
Yeah.
There's can do with wholesalers. There's Yeah, and I know it's very big on the world, and importing flowers is a whole thing. So I really do strive to use. I mean, the local growers around me are the best.
You're experienced enough, like who you can tap to fill a void, and then you and your design assistant, or your lead designer, are scouring the landscape for those juicy bits.
Yeah, Angela's doing all of that. She's foraging for every wedding and getting the palette, and she's just amazing.
But Rebecca, with a business name like Meadow Wilds, you really do describe your aesthetic. Um,
Thank you.
it's so much dependent upon what's immediately around you, and the landscape of the region is what draws people there. And so, why wouldn't they want their floral, elements of an event or a wedding to feel like it belongs there? Um, that's just so aligned with who you are.
Thank you so much. It means so much to me. Like, that is one of our greatest things. Like, I think of like, sometimes the flowers are very meaningful for people and you don't even know what hits them. Like a New York something, or New York, or a tulip, or a French tulip, something speaks to all the, maybe it's a dogwood that, they had a connection to a dogwood tree as a child. There's just so much. I think people don't realize how actually connected and influenced they are, different species. So we love to incorporate all kinds of wildflowers and natives and
I
whatnot.
love that. Yeah, and then you share that with the clients so they know. Like, I think that Dame's Rocket, you talked about that quite a bit in the wedding, the Catamount wedding,
Yeah.
and it's behind you. It's just kind of something that people maybe who have nature blindness don't even see or notice because it's everywhere at certain times of the year in the side of the road
Yeah.
kind
Um,
of thing, right?
right the road. That's where it is. And I've always been like that since I was little. The goldenrod in college, we would like the car and pull over and be like, "We have to get the goldenrod now."
And everyone else is like, "It's a thug, get it out of my garden." So looking at the 2026 season, have you had weddings yet? I mean, it's May 15th.
Yeah, we had one wedding last week, May 9th, and it rained,
Mm.
but it was still beautiful. Yeah. And, um, it was wonderful. It was at actually New Jersey botanical garden. So it
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah,
So that's a bit of a distance for you to travel.
yeah, yep, not too bad at all. An hour and 50.
Yeah, so how does the season look moving forward? Are you feeling like, I've got this?"
Yeah, we're good. We're booking 2027. Like we are just the booking never stops. We're booking 2027 and 2026 is looking beautiful. Um, I think it's a little bit fall heavy. July, there's nothing. I'm traveling, going to Colorado, so that'll be fun. But yeah, some big ones and some small ones. Navigating how we're gonna fit all the flowers in there, and it always works. But yeah,
Um, are you teaching at all, or is that something you will do in the future?
I would love to. I don't have a plan yet, but I would love to. Well, I would love to bring people to the farm. That's one of our goals eventually, to share and open, and we're private. So I want to bring, maybe that's my way back to bringing community. But one thing is, I do love having little work party days and like friends come and we farm together. So that's really nice. But maybe someday I'll do a workshop and I'll let you know.
I mean, you've got a 5.5-year-old. Your time is spoken for.
We used to do wreath workshops every year, annually for 5 years in a row, and that was just the best. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, so I'm hoping if we can find a good space in the future, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and you have to see what you choose to roll into your curriculum or your calendar has to balance with what you've already committed to, and it sounds like your plate is pretty full for this year.
Yeah, yeah. I think we actually are doing one workshop, around Sweet Flower Farm. We just have the date, so
Oh, that's good. I
yeah.
love it. Well, I mean, if anyone is interested in seeing all these, gorgeous weddings, I know that you are good at posting on Instagram, and sometimes I'll see something and send you a little note like, "Ooh, well, I think that's what happened with this Catamount thing when you told me about it," and then I started scrolling back to see what else you had done, and, it's it obviously, you have a respect for good photography, and you work with photographers who let you share. It's not some of it's your own, but that's really a great way to find clients. I'm sure that's how some customers find you.
Yeah. Good photography is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the wedding that we've just discussed, have you posted that yet at all?
A
Um,
little bit, but not. I was waiting for you, and so I got to post more. Yeah.
okay. So Meadow Wilds is going to be in your feed sometime soon. I'm also going to share the link to the article and some wonderful photos that Rebecca's shared from other projects of hers, as well as where she grows, and some photos that you sent of you and Melissa together. I'm so sorry that you lost her, and my condolences go to you and to her family. She was so young, and I just, yeah, it makes me sad that lost touch with her.
I know. I know. They say that, my friend Kristen said that sometimes the lights that shine so bright, they're maybe not here with us for too long.
Mm,
So,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think what I'm hearing most is love, and the love that you have for your work and your community, and your mentors and the people that you are mentoring. And I hope people take that from this conversation. And when they see the photos of this styled shoot, you'll know that it was done with love. Oh my gosh. Every detail, Rebekah, it's insane that you pulled that off.
Thank you. And not without my team. Like nothing is without my team. So
Yeah, that's great. I love that you've built a team of people who have the same crazy passion as you do. So,
yes.
anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, just thank you. Thank you for your loyalty to all these growers and all these people. I've listened to so many podcasts and so many people have inspired me. And I wanted to be on this podcast. But you.
Well, listen, anyone listening to this, don't wait for me to figure out to ask you, because that is usually, with 600 members, people fall through the cracks. You've got to get in touch and say, I've got something to say, because I'm usually able to make room and make space. But this gave us a great opportunity to celebrate the article and your work. And I'm just so grateful that you made the time and told such personal stories. I think that people really need to hear that. In today's day and age where everything's about the brand and about the platform, let's dig deeper and find the meaning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, my dear. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And we will be sharing lots of content about Meadow Wilds and Rebekah in our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com. And I'll see you next week.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.